All right guys, we're back at it out here in the garage. We're gonna put this airbox back together and get that subframe cleaned up. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get to pulling some suspension stuff today. But yeah, we'll see. It's wet and rainy outside, so probably not gonna get any riding done this weekend. May as well just spend some time out in the garage working on this thing. Should be fun. Getting this little guy lined up is kind of a pain. Of course, I think the bolts for this are still in the pressure washer. Or pressure washer in the ultrasonic cleaner. So let's go make that happen. So this part's pretty critical. You don't want to do this wrong if you can help it. Because this is the seal. If that makes any sense. Okay, so anyhow, like I said, the seal here is very critical. It's very important because this does a lot of work as far as keeping dirt out of your motor. So you don't want to shortcut this. You want to make sure that it is put in properly. I actually had to double check to make sure that the boot went inside the airbox, because it confused me for a second, to be honest with you. Didn't quite make sense to me, but it does now, so that is the correct way. So yes. And I don't know what these need to be torqued to. They're pretty small, but the tighter the better. I definitely, after taking it apart yesterday, the dirt in the airbox did not come from here, if that makes any sense. So that's good, at least. And ideally I would have replaced the gasket for this, but it was still sticky and in good shape. And I don't know, it doesn't look like I can get them anymore, so we're going to just do the best we can with what we got. This thing's cleaned up, ready to go back together, so that's good. We'll keep her in a clean, dry spot. Oh, let's see what we got to do here. Get this old boy out of here. I don't think that's quite right. If I can do it with these guys, the old Knipex. Oh yeah. Of course I'll edit all this stuff out so that you're not sitting here watching me try to get a nut off, because that's no fun. How hard is that going to be to get out, I wonder? Let's get this chain off real quick too. I'll move you, reposition you a little bit here. See if we can't find that master link. It's right there, and it is not very pretty. Who knows how long this thing's been on here? Been a minute. Ooh, it does not feel good. Oh, there go my pliers. Got all the life you're gonna get out of that one. Oh man, That doesn't look good. So I service my bikes enough to where I typically don't ever let that happen. I think I've already bought wheel bearings for this thing too, so that's not going to be a huge deal. Imagine there's just going to be a lot of stuff like this that is just going to be difficult. You might have to go to a bigger hammer. Oh boy. There we go. Got something moving. They're not supposed to come out that hard, just so you know. I can usually at this point just drag them out with my hand. That is not going to happen with this one. Maybe now. She's kind of coming. Oh man. Awesome. All right. Everything has got to be difficult. See, pretty crusty. Brake pads look fairly recent, really. So, I mean, when I say recent, I mean, you know, they're not destroyed and they're still red. Shiny looking. All right, so take a good look at the sludge that's in there. That's a 51 tooth. I think I ordered a Mica Metals 49 tooth. I thought that's what they were stock. Yeah, I don't know. It's like spokes on this thing. I definitely want them cleaned up at the very least. All the nipples look pretty good. Like, you know, they're not rounded over like sometimes you find them when people are trying to tighten up spokes and struggle with it. I've been that guy. Yeah, the old seals and bearings don't look all that great. Let's try to get the sprocket off and go from there. I should have busted those nuts loose when it was still on the bike, but I didn't. So actually, before we do that, I think we will come over here, take off the chain guide real quick, and get this thing thrown in the parts washer and let it soak for a little while. Since we are parts washing at this time, may as well anyhow. Coming out nice and good, nice and easy, nice and good. Where did I learn my English? Apparently I never really did learn my English. Oh, that one was a little snugger. And of course, a nut on the back. I knew there was one of them that had a nut on the back. So, like I said, the ultrasonic parts cleaner works fairly well for what it is, but I'm kind of on the fence about putting together a vapor blaster. It's like, I love the way things look when they've been vapor blasted, and I have a lot of aluminum parts that need it. So, you know, is it worth my time and money to do that? I don't know. I don't have room for it. There's a bunch of videos on how to do it, how to put one together for fairly cheap, but I don't know. Do I want to spend my time doing that and my hard-earned money doing that, or do I just want to move on? Oh, man. Oh. I don't know if I soaked these long enough. Oh, that one came free. Let's get a different wrench. I'm not going to mess with that. Sometimes you just got to get the right wrench. Because you do not want to start rounding stuff over on a 30-year-old bike. I feel like this one's already rounded over. I think I have a new set of these anyhow, so it's not the end of the world. Did I get all these loose? We did. Do have fresh sprocket and chains ordered. 12 tooth front, the 49 tooth rear. Because that's what Rocky Mountain ATV said came on it stock. We did order it from Mika Metals. They do give me a few discounts here and there for my moto related stuff. Dare I say they sponsor me, because really I think they would sponsor anybody as long as you're not afraid to put their stuff on your bike. And they make great stuff. I use their chains and sprockets and love it. I'm not even going to clean these up. I'm not putting these back on. I will put new ones on here. These are the type of things you don't want to mess with when it comes to bikes. Your drive. Because if these fail, it can be a bad day. So we will not mess with that. We'll make sure we get good stuff on here. It's like an old steel sprocket. I don't know who made it. I don't see any writing on it. Maybe it's aluminum. It looks Renthal-y, but it's not Renthal. Oh, really? We're not gonna mess around with this too much. Oh yeah, that's steel. That will also be hitting the garbage. And I just want to pull all the spokes out of this and the bearings out and everything, and just clean the hub up with a vapor blaster that I don't have. It's like, yeah, I could tear everything apart and get it in a big bag and take it out to somebody to have it done, but then I'm relying on somebody else to do it. And then I have to remember how to put it back together, which isn't really that big a deal, but okay, well, I have seen these be pretty stubborn, and these have rust on them, so I have been soaking them for a few minutes, and I don't want to strip these out because they're just an absolute pain to get out. So we might put a little heat on these. We might let them soak for a while longer. Let's try the old punch trick real quick. And I know this may seem like there's no way this works, but I've had it work plenty of times, so. Just helps break free any rust. That may be really loud. That was really loud. Apologize for that. Okay. I did get one to break free. 2 to break free. 3. That one feels kind of loose. A little wallered out maybe. You know, these discs actually look really good. Both the front and rear. Well, the front being a full floater, it's pretty loose on the floating part of it. If that makes any sense. These things should have been Loctited on. Should have had some Loctite on them. It looks like they did at one point in their lives for sure. So cool. I'm one of those guys that don't necessarily put Loctite on them. Actually, I do Loctite them, but I usually use blue Loctite rather than red. I use something that you can remove. And I don't know what it really calls for. Red is more permanent, typically, in the Loctite world. Although I know green is also permanent, so I don't know, maybe they change colors at some point. But I like to use blue. But I also know that brake rotors get pretty hot, so I don't know if blue, if it does any good or not, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say really. I think I'll probably buy new ones of these too. I'm sure that Cowie probably hasn't changed these much over the years. Okay, so we are trying to get creative here, cleaning up this hub a little bit. I still would like to take it apart. I mean, this is working though. We came up with a little die grinder, Scotch-Brite hack, so to speak. Like I said, I'm waiting on a bunch of brushes and stuff coming from Amazon because it's easy, and some prime stuff. And that's going to help this out a lot too. All right, so we've been playing around with cutting up some Scotch-Brite, using it on the old Dremel, clean up the wheel a little bit, and it is working for the most part. It's definitely not fast, but it does seem to kind of work. We're making progress on the bike, and well, that's not happening fast either, but I knew it wouldn't. That's why, luckily, we have plenty of time. So for the most part, we have plenty of time. The wheel bearings in that wheel actually feel pretty good, but I don't think I'm going to keep them in there. Just too much risk in that. Whew. Been out here for a while getting some stuff done. It's been good, but we got a ways to go still, so let's keep plugging away.